Ladies and gentlemen, I'm here at PAX Prime 2013 in the very crowded Warner Brothers booth to talk a little bit to Mr. John Katz, who of course works at Warner Brothers Interactive. He's going to talk to us a little bit about Scribblenauts Unmasked, which is, I suppose, the sequel to Scribblenauts Unlimited in a strange kind of way. So let's start by explaining how exactly we ended up at this point. Of course, we started off with Scribblenauts, which was well received. And then we had Scribblenauts Unlimited, where things went completely insane at that point. And now we have Scribblenauts Unmasked, which for some reason has a bunch of DC superheroes in it. So walk us through your thought process. How did this end up happening?
Well, basically, I've been a fan of DC Comics for a long time, since I was a kid. I'm a big fan of Scribblenauts, and I'm not the only one. It's everyone in our office loves DC and loves Scribblenauts, and so we sort of looked at it and we said it's a totally natural pairing, because Scribblenauts is all about imagination and creativity, and so are comics. It's like, so many fantastical things happen all the time. Characters get in weird situations and everything kind of goes chaotic. Like it's practically the same thing. So they fit together really well.
What surprises me is the fact that DC are allowing you such creative license with stuff that they've been spending a lot of time making. More often than not, you'll find these companies they're a little bit, can you please not have Cthulhu eat Batman, because that's just not canon. You guys don't seem to have that problem. So how did they react exactly when you hooked up with them and said, yeah, we would love to have that happen?
Well, we were a little nervous at first when we approached them for those exact reasons, but they know what Scribblenauts is, and they knew why it was successful. And they knew that if they put all sorts of restrictions on us, the magic was going to go away. So they have been very nice and very accommodating to what Scribblenauts needs to be. But at the same time, we have to be very accommodating to their canon. So, there are certain rules that we have to abide by, even with all this creativity. So, for instance, Batman can never hold a gun. So if you try to give him a gun, he's going to throw it on the ground. Superman is vulnerable to kryptonite, things like that. So, yes, you can make a pink Superman by using adjectives. They're totally fine with that, as long as the bigger tenets of the canon we stay true to.
The funny thing is, I'd see that more as a strength of the IP as opposed to a restriction of it, because quite frankly, what's the point of putting superheroes in if they don't have some kind of characteristic that makes them fit within the universe that people are used to in the first place?
Exactly. And, it's sort of, think of it, in DC they've got, the concept of Elseworlds that are sort of like side versions of the main storyline. This is sort of like that, where Maxwell and Lily, through a combination of their own superpowers, get sucked into the DC universe, and all sorts of chaos happens. So it allows you to have multiple versions of characters at the same time. So you can have two different Batmen running around. Why? Because this is the Scribblenauts version of DC.
If I recall correctly, had something like 37 versions of Batman or something like that, wasn't it?
Yeah. There are a lot of Batman.
Yeah, I saw Caveman Batman, and I was shocked, and we'll never see him in the same light again. All right, so those who played Scribblenauts Unlimited, which is probably like half the people that watch my channel, they were really into it. And then they heard about this, and they were a little bit confused about the kind of changes that were taking place in between the two titles, since it seemed like it was a little less of a gigantic leap as opposed to what we saw between Scribblenauts and Scribblenauts Unlimited. So why don't you walk us through the new features and what veteran players can expect to see?
Sure. So in Unlimited, that was where we took all the puzzles and we put them into the playgrounds. So all the levels were playgrounds, but the puzzles were the same every time. Here, the puzzles are different every time you load a map. So if you go into Gotham City and you load it, you might see 10 different puzzles, but load it again, you'll see 10 brand new puzzles. So literally, you could load Gotham City 100 times and see 100 different sets of puzzles. It's always changing. We've also greatly expanded the story. In Unlimited, the story was kind of there, a very loose narrative. Oh, Lily's being turned to stone, collect star rights to help her. Here, each level has a very detailed story mission, which furthers, the narrative of there's this main evil presence that has essentially stolen all of the star rights, and you're trying to get them back. So through playing the missions, you discover who the main evil force is, then eventually you confront them and sort of set the worlds to right. You're aiding the Justice League in they're in a case that they can't solve by themselves.
However, I can aid them using Cthulhu, is that correct?
Absolutely.
Good to hear. We actually have one of your guys playing it in the background right now, messing around. We should be able to see that on there. I created something earlier by the name of Skate Thulu, who proved to me my valid and awesome companion in crime until he was sadly slain by, I believe it was a horde of angry cats. It didn't go well for him.
Yeah, Batman fought Cthulhu and kind of weakened him a lot. But then you managed to escape that pretty well. But then when you ran into the horde of angry cats, they unfortunately did you in.
My one weakness. How did they see it coming? All right, so if I was someone that had played Scribblenauts Unlimited to death, what would be the reason for me to pick up this version? What would you say, look, you've played this to death, now you can do all this other stuff? What would those selling points be?
I mean, I think what I mentioned before. Definitely the dynamic content. You really can't play this game to death. I mean, you can try. You can try and play it to death. The story is much more in depth. Like if you really like DC, we've weaved in a whole lot of like little DC things here and there that you'll sort of pick up on and be like, oh, I remember when that happened. In a comic book. But then also the hero creator is really nice this time too. We've taken the object editor and really tailored it to making heroes and villains much easier. And we have the same sharing too, so you can make, if let's say there's a character, Mr. Banjo. I know he's one that we unfortunately didn't get time to do. We couldn't get them all. So if you're a big fan of Mr. Banjo, you can make him yourself, upload him to the internet, and then all your friends can download him. So you can really show like, I'm such a comic nerd. I know who this guy is.
Cool. That's an interesting set of little features there. Now, you did mention the hero editor kind of being adapted from the object editor. I assume that means the object editor hasn't kind of gone away. You could still do the same things that you could previously?
Oh, absolutely. If you want to use it to make, a toaster oven that shoots baked potatoes, you can totally do that. You don't have to make a hero or a villain.
Excellent. I recall the last time we created a dress that was on fire and very sad about it. And it was kind of a pathetic little display, but it seemed to work out. I don't know what really happened during that video, but people seem to be entertained. Anyway, I'd like to talk just a little bit about the PC version. Obviously, we've been playing it on Wii U, which is a good platform. I mean, it's a nice platform for it because you have the drag and drop functionality, the stylus. Keyboard's pretty nice for a game about words, I tend to find. Now, last time around, it did integrate Steam Workshop support. I assume you're going to be doing that again?
Absolutely. The Steam Workshop community was just, they're so good. Like, they're our most passionate fan base, and we want to do everything we can to keep them engaged.
Are we expecting a simultaneous release for the PC version?
Absolutely. Everything comes out at the same time on September 24th.
Now, last time around, I believe we had a couple of localization issues, which kind of delayed the European release of this title. Have you managed to tackle that this time around?
We definitely have. Through working very closely with our localization partners, we've managed to, I wouldn't say clean it up, but we've been able to improve the quality of it quite a bit.
And are you expecting a simultaneous foreign language release as well, or will other fans have to wait?
That's sort of to be determined right now. The PC version will be available worldwide on September 24th. The Nintendo versions, we're sort of in a wait-and-see pattern on that.
Well, I think the PC guys are going to be happy because we had a bunch of guys saying, you know what, I can perfectly understand English, it's fine, I just want to play it, just let me play it. So that's always good news for them. All right, so is there anything final you'd like to say about this game that might get people just a little bit more interested in the title?
It's been a passion of love to make for, not just myself, but everyone on the team. We're all, super comic nerds, and just being able to literally pour our brains, like all this stuff that we know, all these little factoids, just to pour it all into the game, but in an approachable way. If you don't know anything about DC, that's fine. But all these little things that it'll make the experience so much better for you.
Now I have to ask your fellow over there, who is good lord. I think this melee requires Skate Thulu to be added. Could I request that you add Skate Thulu into the mix, and you will see the awesome power of my creation. I believe it was one word, wasn't it? Unless it's forgotten. Behold, the might of Skate Thulu. And I think he's dead. We need to buff Skate Thulu. There we go. Perfect. I have still yet to find a game that allows you to do all of these things. Perfect. I have ruined Gotham, and it feels great. Ladies and gentlemen, Scribblenauts Unmasked is coming your way. Yes, it will be on PC. Yes, it's a simultaneous release. Yes, it's just as manic as it was previously. Keep an eye out for it. My name's been Total Biscuit. I'll see you next time.